So one of the things that I learned earlier when I was training as a hypnotherapist was you have the client and you sit them down and you hypnotise them. And clients, they hypnotise them. Lightning bolts coming out of their fingers.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the expectation, is people come to see a hypnotherapist and they expect to be hypnotised.
Yes, something to be done to them.
That's right. And it's not the case.
No.
And I mean, going back to the time of James Braid, which is in the 1800s, he first came up with the idea that hypnotism is, or all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, which means that the role of the therapist, the hypnotherapist, is not to do something to their client, not to put them into hypnosis, not to control them, but to lead them, to guide them, so
to show them the way.
To show them the way, so they will go into hypnosis.
Especially in early days when they're unaware of what happens and the sensations that they may notice. But once they're practiced, people can, absolutely go there quite quickly on their own. But when they're beginning, it's nice to have that guidance of the hypnotherapist. But we hope that people go away and then they can do exactly the same at home through self-hypnosis. But, I say to people, when you close your eyes, I don't have a button or a magic wand under there that I'm going to push and automatically you'll be in this hypnosis bubble. I will suggest some things, and if you keep an open mind and you follow my voice and you're wanting it to happen.
Yes.
It's about wanting to go there.
Yes.
Wanting to be open to
and allowing it to
happen.
One of the things that the ideas we were taught very early on in our course was this error of effort.
Error, yes.
In that, if you sit there and you're really trying to go into hypnosis, want to go into hypnosis, it kind of defeats the
you're thinking about the hypnosis rather than the imagined.
And as we talked before, hypnosis is something you're allowed to do by focusing on the guidance of the therapist.
Suggestion,
who takes you on some imagination exercise. And far from being controlled, stage hypnosis is the one that a lot of hypnotherapists complain about stage hypnotism because they think it frightens people off from going to hypnotherapy, because stage hypnosis is about a performance, and the performer wants to give the impression that they're controlling these people and getting to do things that they wouldn't ordinarily
against
do.
Their will, or
overpowering their will,
getting them to tell secrets.
And make themselves look like idiots. Where there's just a whole load of things going on in stage hypnosis. First of all, people go to a stage hypnosis show in some way have given permission for that to happen just by
There's
turning
an
up.
expectation, yes.
That's right. And also, stage hypnotists generally, they're quite cleverly, at the start of the show, they will ask for volunteers. And then they will do some tests to see who responds to them, who accepts their authority, who's willing to, who recognises that they are part of the performance, which will overcome some of their normal inhibitions. And people who have some high level of natural
ability.
Which
there are. There are people in the, what did they say, 5%?
Yes.
Somnambulists, like sleepwalkers, that are very easily hypnotisable.
Yes.
And those are the people that tend to be the ones on stage.
So of course your stage hypnotist gets everybody up there, and he does some tests, and the people who don't respond, thank you very much. You can go back to your seat now. And they end up with that 5% who are the ideal subjects. Who for that combination of their expectation, they haven't given permission, the authority of the hypnotist, the fact that they're doing a performance in front of an audience. And there's got to be a little bit of I don't want to mess it up for this guy as well.
Falling in line.
So there's all sorts of things going on there which don't really apply to.
Not at all, because there's no therapeutic outcome.
And yet, even with that, if a stage hypnotist asks someone, says, "I want you to go and shoot someone," unless they've been really carefully conditioned, and this is difficult to do. It's possible. You've seen the
Darren Brown thing,
And 99 times out of 100, they would just refuse to do it. Even with the situation, we'll get into kind of Darren Brown thing, but you do wonder if there's something going on there where the guy realises that is down round, it's a show.
Yeah.
And
part of this, nobody's to ever know, are they?
No.
But certainly within what we do, the realms that we do, the client has total control at all times. And actually, at any stage, we always set up with clients a safe place.
Yes.
Right at the beginning of therapy, and they imagine where they would be. They feel really safe. It might be something they imagine, or it might be some place that they know in their home or a holiday place. And at any time during hypnosis, they feel uncomfortable. They can just say, "I'm going to my safe place." They can just go to their safe place. We always mention that.
Yeah.
So that's a safety measure in place for everybody.
Yes. And let's remember that the whole purpose of hypnotherapy is to give somebody back control. So in therapeutic hypnosis, they're more in control.
Yes.
They may, as we discussed before, they may look unconscious because the focus is inside. Mm-hmm. But you could argue that they're more alert, they're kind of hyper alert and very sensitive, listening and following the guidance of the therapist.
Yes.
And if a fire alarm went off or something unexpected, they would instantly come out of hypnosis and they'd be able to deal with it appropriately.
So that's the thing we talked about earlier, that somebody had asked me, do I always have to count myself up and out of hypnosis when I'm doing self-hypnosis? And I say, that's a nice way to do it. It's nice to go through, a procedure.
Yeah.
However, if one of your children fell over, or if, your arm caught a light by a candle, if you had a candle in the room, you wouldn't think, I've got to count from 1 to 5, up and out. You would deal with it.
Yeah.
You would absolutely deal with anything that you needed to, when you needed to.
Yeah. The other thing that people worry about is the other end of the spectrum, which I mentioned, was when I get stuck in hypnosis.
Yes.
Now, the first thing, we're both evidence-based therapists, which means that all the work we do is based on proven research.
Yes. Trials.
And the evidence for that is hypnosis has been around since the times of the pharaohs when they had sleep temples.
Exactly.
And in those all those years, 100 years, and the last couple of 100 years where it's been used therapeutically, there's no record of anyone getting stuck.
No.
Ever. And if somebody did get stuck in hypnosis, that'd be in the headlines, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. Never happened.
Never happened.
No.
And
so I wonder where that misconception came from.
I don't know, I guess people who think hypnosis is about being unconscious.
Or they think it's about control.
Or control, yeah.
They think, well, that hypnotherapist is going to put me in.
Yeah.
Into an unconscious state, and I won't be able to get out.
That's right.
Maybe that's the thing. People feel that they are stuck,
yes,
and under the power of somebody else.
Yes.
And absolutely, that's not
yes,
the case.
I do. I mean, you might have seen this as well, where you get a client who's in control, and hypnosis is, particularly with somebody experienced for the first time, is a very pleasant, relaxing, warm, soft, fuzzy.
I say I feel so relaxed, more relaxed than I've ever felt. Yeah. And
somebody's got a stressful life. They think, I'm going to counter it out in a moment, says the therapist.
Yes.
And they're like, actually,
please don't bring me back.
So I do find that sometimes I'm going to counter it out, and I count them out, and they're no reaction at all. And they're not stuck. They decided to stay a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So
they didn't want to.
A bit of persuasion.
Yes.
So, hey, I'll teach you how to do this anytime you like, but for now we need to get on with your day, and I'll count them out a bit more, and out they come.
Yes.